Hello and welcome. I have recently posted up a video about the plans and kind of the intro to the build of what is known as the CoWj for Colorado WJ, or also better known as CoWj. And one thing I forgot to mention in the previous video is kind of my background in 4x4s. I've only been wheeling for 3 or 4 years now. However, I grew up going camping kind of with my very original Jeep, and that was a 1997 Grand Cherokee, which was the 4-liter Laredo base model upon all base model version. However, I loved it. That is actually what my first vehicle was. I had it for about 2.5, 3 years. And after about a year and a half, I did end up modifying it when I got more and more into the actual kind of trail run 4x4 style builds and travels. And I built it just kind of basically. I'll pop a picture up on the screen for a few seconds now. And then the build on it was a 3.5-inch Trailmaster short arm lift. It was a full coil, it was not a spacer. And it was a very good system. I really did like it. However, being a short arm and a 3-inch and a 3.5-inch, it did ride quite rough. That vehicle was known as CoZJ for Colorado ZJ. And if you go and Google search it, you will probably find a couple build threads that were they were started, but they were never completed. That build also was some 235, 75, R15 BFG all-terrains, and it was a very good tire. However, the first gen was a little bit loud on the highway. It wasn't too good in the mud. And on ice they were just pathetic. But for being a stock size tire, with the modifications that had been done, including I had Kevin off-road sliders, which they were very, very good. I highly recommend them. And then it had a auto locker in the rear. And that was not the best decision on my part. However, I built the vehicle in 2 weeks, all by myself, including lifting it and installing the lockers and sliders and skid plates, which were just the factory upcountry skid plates that I had found off eBay for $20, which held up very well. They were 3/16-inch mild steel, so they could take a few hits on dirt and a couple on rocks, and they saved the transfer case a couple times. However, the auto locker was very, very annoying. Whether it was the amount of backlash in the Dana 35 C-clip axle, which was not the best idea to put an auto locker in it. However, the vehicle was so underpowered and it wasn't running all that large of tires that I didn't have any issue with axle shafts or anything in the 2 years that I ran the auto, or the year and a quarter that I ran the auto locker in it. And I built the Jeep for a Moab trip. And I had ordered all the parts a month ahead of time. And I installed the lift over a 4-day weekend in this garage. However, the day I started, it was 70 degrees. The day I ended, it wasn't quite like this, because there was a foot of snow on the ground and it was 10 degrees outside, which did not make working on it all that much fun. But nevertheless, I continued on and I really enjoyed the vehicle. Came to last summer, decided to sell it just because it had 186,000 miles. It was getting a bit long in the tooth, and so I sold it to a returning veteran who had just flown 30 hours from Kuwait. He bought it sight unseen, and I've helped him out a few times He hasn't had any issues with it, but I helped him out to remount the skid plate after it got knocked off a couple times, and just finishing up the build. And then once I sold the ZJ, I went and tried just different vehicles, and so I went with a 2007 Toyota 4Runner that has the 4.7 liter V8. It's sitting on a 3-inch front and a 2-inch rear Toyotech Superflex lift on some Bilstein 5100 style or series shocks. And then it's sitting on some 285/70 R17 Cooper ST Maxes, which are sitting on some ATX Mojave 2 wheels. Sliders are from CBI Off-Road. Skid plates are all factory. Roof rack is custom made by me. This vehicle, it's fun. It has light racing mid-travel upper control arms in the front, so it gives it a little bit of better high-speed handling. However, I'm not a fan of the IFS. I'm not a fan of the CV shafts that are equipped in this vehicle. I've broken a couple of them, and I've also blown out the rear axle along after I broke both CVs, which has just kind of killed me on this vehicle. It can't withstand rocks very well. It's too long, it's too wide. So that is why I'm selling it, and I've already bought this, and then I am going to be building this with the money that I get from selling the Toyota. And this is the 2007 Grand Cherokee, the newest build. This one hopefully will be around for quite a long time. Low miles, as I said before, 106,000, quite well maintained mechanically wise. Cosmetically, it could use some work, but that's not the biggest deal for me, seeing as though here in Colorado, all of our trails are very thin and heavily wooded. So, even if you take a very small, like TJ Wrangler out, you will still come home with scratches and pinstriping. So, I decided to look for a vehicle that already had some dings and scratches, and I'm actually kind of happy that I found one with crappy tires, because I'm only going to probably wheel it once stock just to see what it can do with the Verilocks in it, and then once that is sold, this will be a daily driver for about 2 weeks, and then completely overhauled and modified. And that 2-week period is purely just to order the parts. Then it will be lifted with new tires, then probably sliders, rear locker, front bumper, rear bumper. And other than that, I don't believe there's anything else to cover in this video. This will be episode 2. The next video, as I stated in episode 1, will be the first modification that is already done. So, like or dislike this video, whatever you want to do, it helps me out. And comment what you believe is the first modification that's already been done. Alright, I'll catch you in the next video.